You know that, right? That's pretty simple stuff. Well, how do you do that? Does a manufacturer connect with the consumer? Well, you could advertise in magazines. That costs a lot of money. You can put your product in the store shelves. So let me tell you what happens when you put your product on the store shelf. Say that you want that product to sell for $20. Well, you got to sell it to the person who owns the store for $10 or $11. And then they're going to make $9 just because they own the store. Not because they're an expert, not because they're awesome, just because they bought a store and put it on the shelf. The person who the store owner buys it from is called a wholesale distributor. They buy products from 1,000 different companies, put them in their warehouse, and then the guy who owns the store calls and says, I need 10 of those, 2 of those, 1 of these, 8 of these, a dozen of those, and that guy puts it all on a truck and he takes it to the store. People like me, we sell to the wholesale distributor sells to the store, and the store sells to you. Now, the wholesale distributor wants to make about 10 to 25% depending upon what business they're in. So now you got the store making a bunch of money, you got the wholesale distributor making money, and guess what? You need a rep in the field who goes out and lets the store know that your product's available from the distributor, and you better advertise so the consumer knows that the product's available in the store. You guys understand that? So now you've spent money on advertising, you've spent money on the broker, you spent money on the distributor, and you're giving a big chunk of money to the store. And in the end, the consumer is paying $20 for something that they could probably buy for $15 if all those middlemen weren't in the way. You know what I mean? They could probably buy for $12 if all the middlemen weren't in the way. So I could either, sorry, I'm having a water crisis. So I could either go through that route, because the end result is to do nothing more than connect the consumer with the product that I have built for them, with the product that I have that I believe will save their life. But how do I find the consumer who needs the product that will save their life? By advertising, by putting it on a store shelf and hoping that they find it, and spending 90% of my money to do that? No. You see, network marketing is nothing more than free enterprise. You eliminate all those middlemen, and here's the great part. How hard would I have to work to educate the distributor and ask them to educate the store and ask the store to educate the consumer? That's like five levels of separation. So here's what's powerful. We're able to sell to you as Purium members at the same price that the store typically pays before they sell it to the consumer. That's the reality of network marketing. Here's the best part. You guys get rewarded instead of me just throwing money away into distributors and store owners who don't really care about the product. So here's the thing that you don't understand. Purium products cost less than a typical product that might be half as good in a health food store. See, this is economic power, and here's something else you have to understand. We are the future. What are you going to think about, let's say that in 20 years, you're talking to your kids and you're like, remember when we used to have to get in a car and drive to a building and spend 9 hours with people we didn't even like, taking orders from some jerk who gave us 15-minute break every 3 hours so that we could breathe and think? And then we had to go through traffic fighting all those people honking and giving hand motions that aren't hello? Remember when we used to do that just so that somebody could pay us $10 an hour? Why did we do that? Remember when we discovered the new economy? Remember when we decided to have our own destiny be in our own hands? Remember when we decided that instead of going out and maybe selling insurance, somebody so their car didn't get in a wreck, I'm going to give them the food where their life didn't end up in a wreck? You see, everybody has to eat, but everybody has to pay for that food they eat too. Everybody needs a job. Everybody has to pay their bills, and the question is, what are you going to do to pay those bills? What are you going to choose to pay those bills? So I'm going to answer questions and answers, and I'm going to talk a lot about the products then. But I really want to tell you what I'm most proud of, maybe more than anything else, because I know I have the best food. I guarantee you that we have food that will change and save people's lives. There is no doubt about that. I have no doubt that there is not another company on this planet that can offer the quality of food that we offer, that will have the effect that will have on people's lives for the prices that we have. I can guarantee that too. But as somebody who was the son of immigrants, who did not graduate from high school, who didn't have the privilege of going to college, but still managed to create economic freedom and stability for myself despite those limitations, I believe in free enterprise. I believe in hard work, okay? I believe in raising yourself out of your own poverty. And so what I'm most proud of is the fact that we put money into people's pockets, that puts food on people's tables. I grew up with 10 people in a 3-bedroom house, and my mother tried to feed all 10 of us with 1 chicken and a bowl of rice, okay? And it didn't go very far. So when I see and I hear the stories of mothers being empowered, of taking control of their economic future, when I hear stories, and I hope nobody's offended by this, but a lady come up to me and she says, you know what? Because of you, I had the strength to leave an abusive relationship. I was economically and emotionally beholden to another human being who not only didn't respect me, they hurt me. And because of Purium, I was able to walk away. And I now have my own life. I had to grow up in one of those abusive households. I saw that happen, and I'll tell you, nothing made me happier than to hear that woman say that she's out of that relationship and she is independent and strong because of Purium. You see, there's something called a glass ceiling. And fellas in the room, if you don't know what that is, the glass ceiling means that the lady sitting next to you doing the same job as you might make only 70% of what you make, if she's ever even given the opportunity to go for that job. At Purium, there is no glass ceiling. Most of the people making most of the money in this company are women who never ever made $100,000 in their life before, who may have never made $50,000 in their life before, and now they are financially and emotionally strong because they're making other people physically strong. And so Purium is an amazing opportunity because we can solve that food crisis. We can solve that health crisis. And we could also solve that personal economic crisis as well. Now, a lot of people understand things, but they don't put all the pieces together like a puzzle. So I want to give you some puzzle pieces and ask you to put them together, because I don't think you even understand the leverage or the opportunity that we've created. First of all, there's a tremendous need for what we have. We solve people's pain, and every successful product filled a need. Do you guys realize that? Every successful product has to fill a need, and we do. But here's the best part that I want you to understand. It's going to take a minute to wrap your arms around it. But if you want to gain financial independence, there are typically 3 pathways to doing that. They don't include marrying rich, okay? There's 3 pathways typically. You could go to school, college for 4 years, postgraduate work for another 3 years, get a doctorate, and you'll probably end up making $100,000 or more. After a 7-year investment and maybe going $250,000 in debt, maybe not that much, but student loans and things like that. Not to mention opportunity cost. You spent 7 years of your life not earning money, and even if you took a minimum wage job, you would have at least earned some money during those 7 years. So during those 7 years, you have lost 7 years of potential earning potential, but you've gained a degree that will give you the leverage to start earning the money you want. So after 7 years, you could earn $100,000 or more. Let's say that you take another path, the entrepreneur's path, and you start a business or you buy a franchise. Let's say that you buy a Subway franchise, which costs about $200,000 to $250,000. And then you have to buy the building, you have to do the improvements, buy all the equipment, pay a long-term lease, hire employees, and now, in both instances, you have skin in the game. Do you guys know that term, skin in the game? Right? You tell somebody, hey, let's do this. I've got all my money in it, but they don't have any money in it. Are they going to work as hard as you? Never. So when you have skin in the game, you work a lot harder, don't you? Well, if you bought a franchise that costs you $250,000 to $500,000, that's a lot of skin in the game. And every day you wake up and you look at that mortgage payment, you look at those loan papers, you see the mountain of debt that you're in, and you go to work, baby. You get up at 6 and you go to that Subway sandwich shop, and instead of hiring 4 employees, you only hire 3. You do a little bit extra work so you can make a little extra money, and you're putting in 10 to 12 hours a day for 3 to 4 years, and all of a sudden you break even, you pay back that $500,000, and you start making $100,000 or $200,000 a year. Now you're an entrepreneur. You borrowed $500,000 and paid it back, now you're making the big bucks. Congratulations. Let's say you graduate from school, and now you're out in the job market, and because you've got a doctorate, and because you're a smart, young, ambitious person, some young companies hires you, and they tell you within a couple of years you'll be making $100,000 or more. And there you go. You've had your payoff. Here's the crazy part. If you go to get a doctorate, and I encourage you to do that, that's a good thing. Or if you go to buy a franchise, and many people have done that and succeeded, that has been a good path for many people. In both of those paths, you have a heck of a lot of skin in the game. You have all of that money and all of the time, if you're a student, that you put in. And because you need that degree, because you need to pay back that loan, you know that you get up first thing in the morning and you go to work. But what if you had an opportunity that was just as big or bigger than getting a doctorate? What if you had an opportunity that was just as big or bigger than buying a franchise? What if that opportunity didn't cost $250,000 or $500,000, but cost $300, $500, or $1,000? You see, we have that. We have the same opportunity to achieve financial wealth and independence. And not only that, you're doing it by making the world and people healthier. So it's a good thing that you're doing, but here's the biggest problem. If you took the same effort that you put in when you have skin in the game of $100,000 or $200,000 or maybe $500,000, if you put in the same $500,000 effort without putting in the $500,000, think about that. If someone told you you could invest $500,000 in 4 years, and in year 5 you're going to be financially independent, you'd probably say that sounds pretty good. But what if somebody told you you could invest $300 in 3 years, and in 3 years you could be wealthier than the person who invested the $500,000? Wouldn't you want that opportunity? Because that's the one you have in front of you right now. Do you get it?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
So when someone says that's not a legitimate opportunity, that is the biggest lie in the world. Say, oh really? Well, I'll see you in 7 years when you graduate from high school, from college. Or I'll see you in 5 years after you've invested $500,000 in your franchise. We have created an opportunity equal to both of those for an investment of $300. And if I could brag, we have Brandy Sonato right here, and she's proven this. She's shattered that glass ceiling. And again, I don't know much about your personal economics, but my guess is you're doing a little bit better now than you were before, yeah? Just a little bit, she said. You see, if you're going to make money, and we all need to, right? Anybody here who doesn't need to make money, just write me a check. See, all of us at some point are going to need to make money. The question is, how are we going to make that money? So imagine that you work for a company and they pay you $100,000 a year. And you go out and you create something for them that makes them $1 million. Well, that's pretty cool, right? Well, guess what? After the day that you created that, and after they gave you the $400 for that one day that you worked, they will never pay you for that work again. Once they paid you for the idea you gave them, once they paid you for the work you did, you'll never be paid for it again. So somebody told me a funny story. They said, somebody asked me, how much did I make in my first month of network marketing? And I told them, well, let's see. So they opened up their thing and they went back and they found a customer that they had in the first month, the customer they got in their first month of network marketing. And they said, well, I can't tell you that. And he said, why? I said, because I'm still being paid. I'm still being paid for the first month I put in network marketing. I'm still being paid for the second month of work I did in network marketing. I'm still being paid for that 1 hour that I worked 3 years ago. I'm still being paid for that. Are you still being paid for any of the hours that your boss gave you $20 an hour for? No, because once they gave you the $20, they owned the work you did forever. When you work at Purium, you own the work you do forever. You benefit from the work you did today, tomorrow, for the rest of your life. I don't even know if you guys realize how powerful that is. But it is the most powerful force on the universe. It's called compounding. And compounding is magical. You guys have all heard the old joke. It's like, okay, would you rather make $1 million over the next year, or would you rather make a penny and have that penny double every day for 2 months? Well, guess what? Almost everybody takes the $1 million. But they don't realize that if they took the penny, they'd end up with 5 million. Because compounding is amazing. So I love to talk about my products, you know I do, and that's what we're going to do in the question and answer session, but I rarely get a chance to explain to you how important the job that we're doing by creating an economy built around making the world a better place. Has anybody ever voted in an election? Have you ever voted in an election and the person that you wanted to win the election didn't win? Yes or no?
Yes.
Weren't you disappointed? Have you ever voted in an election and the person that you wanted to win did win? Yes or no?
Yes.
Were you ever disappointed still?
Yes.
You see, we don't vote and get what we want by voting for a politician and hoping that they'll do what we voted him to do. That happens every 2 to 4 years. But guess what? You could vote 10 times a day. You could vote 100 times a day. You know how you vote? Every single time that you spend $1, you're voting to keep something in office. And every single time that you reject and refuse to spend $1 on something, then you're trying to vote that thing out of office. Do you get it? So right now, there's a lot of votes being put out there for food that's killing us. People are spending their hard-earned money and they're giving it over to a greedy person who's killing them. Stop and think about it. You're taking money that you worked hard for, you're taking out of your pocket and you're handing it to somebody for something they're going to hand it back to you that's going to kill you ultimately. Does that make any sense? Why are you voting for that person who wants to kill you? So I have a friend who works for a big food company, and they make Wheaties and some sugar frosted flake type of things, and they had 10 machines working. And at one time, 6 of the machines were making flakes that were used in Raisin Bran and Wheaties. And 4 of the machines were used to make sugar-covered flakes, right? And then all of a sudden, the sugar-covered flake machines were always being used on 2 shifts. And then ultimately 3 shifts. And the Wheaties machines were sitting idle. And so the person running the factory said, we've got to retool the machines to where only 3 of them make Wheaties and 7 of them make sugar frosted flakes. Now, did he do that because he wanted to force sugar frosted flakes on you? You see, we get it mixed up, we get it twisted. That executive didn't force sugar frosted flakes on him. We forced him to make more sugar frosted flakes. Do you know why? Because that's how they make their money. You are voting for sugar frosted flakes, and you are not voting for Wheaties. Do you get that? So what are you voting for? Well, I want you to vote for Purium. You see, we need to vote with our dollars, and we need to elect people who care about us. And right now, when you vote for Purium, then you're electing people like me and Amy and Brandy and Holly and you people. You see, we're electing the people that we know care about us. Does anybody here doubt that the person who introduced you to Purium cared about you? I mean, that's amazing. So, you know, my name's Dave, and that's not important, but what is important is that you guys remember these lessons that we're learning today. That you realize that we are in a defining moment in history. Remember that this is only a 60-year-old crisis, and most of us are part of it. And so at some point, we've got to stand up and be counted. At some point, we've got to put a line in the sand and say, this has got to stop. This has got to end. And if you believe that simply because you're protesting in the streets against Monsanto, that you're marching, and I love that, but it doesn't matter if you then reach in your pocket and buy something that they made. So a company came to me and they said, we've got biodegradable plastic containers. And you use a lot of plastic, so I said, this is great. So I investigated it, and guess what they're made out of? GMO corn. And so I went, and they're like, but don't you understand? It's okay because GMO is now doing something really good. It's helping us make biodegradable plastic. I said, well, that biodegradable plastic could be made out of non-GMO corn, right? And they said, well, yeah. And I said, I cannot buy this from you because if I do, I'm voting for GMO corn. You understand? So even though it's something I want, biodegradable plastic, I won't get it because it doesn't meet my standards. So even because this food may be something you want, you have to say no because it doesn't meet your standards, okay? And so I'm going to tell you one little story that might blow your mind. Did you know that Cheerios is now non-GMO? Crazy, right? And did you know if you get an old box of Cheerios and you look at the RDA, like the amount of nutrients, it says 100% of this, 100% of everything on the old box of Cheerios. On the new box of Cheerios, when you look at the nutrients, it says 7%, 13%, 20%, 5%. Do you know why?
Real food.
Because it's real food. Because Cheerios used to add nutrients into the food to make sure it had 100% of everything. But when they went non-GMO and they tried to find non-GMO nutrients, they didn't exist. That means that every single thing that you feed your kids that is fortified with nutrients, is loaded with genetically modified organisms. Did you know that? That's right. So you have to know a little bit more than the average person. I had Purium people around me a lot for the last several days, and they were constantly asking me questions. And the depth that we're able to go to, like the PHP academies, like the Purium academies that I'm holding, when you go into deep understanding, it will change your mind. It'll change your life. It'll change the world. And so my goal is to educate you about these issues. And yeah, I could sit up here and I could tout my Purium products and tell you about this product or that product or the other. But it's far more important to me to get you people to understand, to get all of our family to understand the why. Because my why is so dang big. My why is so big it doesn't even fit in this room, okay? And there's a food crisis. The food crisis has led to a health crisis. The health crisis has led to an economic crisis. And that economic crisis has led to desperation. And so I want to leave you with one last thing. Then I'm going to do some question and answers. So you can ask me anything you want. Tracy's got some questions lined up. But who loves old people? Because I do. Man, I love old people. I was raised by my grandparents. They were so patient. They were so kind. They were so knowledgeable and so wise. And I look around and I look at old people today, and I don't want anybody to be offended, but old people today are over-medicated. They're hidden away in old age homes. They've got Alzheimer's, dementia. They're sick, they're tired of being sick, and they're sick of being tired. And when they go to tap into that wisdom, it's just not there. And that's why the world is spiraling downwards, because we're missing our elders. I grew up in a culture where old people are treasured. They're like revered. You build a house behind your house just so you could keep them nearby. You don't fly them to Florida and have some stranger take care of them. That's not the way my culture does it. But the problem is we don't have the skill set or the time or the knowledge to take care of old people that are so diseased and so sick and so mentally unstable. So I've got a dream, you guys. I've got a dream that everybody in this room is going to grow really old, and you're going to be really healthy, and you're going to be thinking really clearly. And when the keiki come to you and they need you to be patient, and they need you to be kind, and they need you to be loving, and they need you to show them what the future could be for them, what the world is supposed to be, when you live long enough to have that perspective and you're not confused by the pursuit of money or fame or ego. This world is missing elder wisdom, and we're suffering because of it. And we've got to do something about it, and we're not going to do something about it if we're not healthy when we're young. If we're not healthy when we're young, we can't be healthy when we're old. And we're not healthy when we're old, we can't live to be really, really old. And if we don't live to be really, really old, we're never going to be surrounded by people who are really, really wise. So I'm in a fight for wisdom. I'm in the middle of writing a book that's called The Eclipse of Wisdom. And I'm documenting the reduction in test scores of children over the last 50 years. If you see the test scores of our children, it will blow your mind. No offense, but our kids are idiots compared to what our parents were when they were kids, what they were able to learn in school. Because I'm not putting our kids down, I'm just saying that we've lowered the bar so low that wisdom is suffering. And so, Purium, we're defending families, we're defending the future, we're defending our children, we're defending our parents and our grandparents. Because without that wisdom, where are we going to be 100 years from now? Do we even want to imagine if selfish, greedy, self-centered, egotistical people are ruling this world? Where are we going to be 100 years from now? So I hope you don't take this wrong, but I'm a warrior. Every day I get up, I put on armor, I grab a sword, and I go out and I slay dragons. And I want you guys to wear that armor too. I want you guys to raise that sword. I want you guys to realize that we are an army, and we will change the world. We will. One person at a time. One life at a time. Because when that one person that we speak to, and they know that we care, and they take 10 days, and they get through those first 4 or 5 really difficult days, and they get to day 6 and they realize that it was worth it. And all of a sudden that person becomes a shining star. That person becomes a reflection of everything that we need, and all of a sudden it starts coming out of their mouth and it starts coming out of their skin. And that person you handed a gift card to that said, I'm not interested in this as a business, please don't tell them, oh, you got to. Be patient. We're a loving family. Be patient. Let them experience the products. Let them feel that feeling. Let someone walk up to them and say, man, what are you doing? I want to do that. And then have that person come back to you and say, can I really make money sharing this? That's okay, you guys. It's okay to let it happen naturally, to let it happen organically, to let it happen through love. It will happen. So don't think that everybody who handed a gift card has to come in with a platinum pack or something. Just love them enough to bring them in at whatever level they're comfortable with. Okay? I suggest that everybody make a list of 6 products that you love that can be had for under $50. Look at our probiotic. Look at our enzyme. Look at our astaxanthin. Look at this. Look at that. If some of you aren't successful at Purium because you can't get somebody to spend $1,000, then stop trying and just show them you love them, okay? Just say, let me give you a $50 gift card. Let me change your life in one way. And then if I did change your life in one way, would you come back and ask me more about this? So I just want us to grow. I want us to grow the right way. I want us to grow by caring and loving and sharing and paying it forward. And one last thing. You guys have an amazing opportunity, and I'm going to tell you as a mainlander, okay, as a Howlek, I'll tell you this. We love Hawaii. We love Hawaiian people. We love your smiles. We love the hula. We love everything. The music, when Hawaii 5-0 comes on, you know. You guys have a magic and an opportunity. If you live in Iowa, how many people come through Iowa and leave going, yeah, I went to Iowa. Or are you going for spring break, Iowa? You know, it just doesn't happen. People get excited that they're coming.